Okay, guys, welcome.
Hey.
Welcome to Jack's Treasures. What? Not another reselling podcast where we focus on live reselling, the live reselling platforms. We focus on whatnot only because that's where Tracy and I are most prevalent, but we do recognize the district, and we recognize Jamble, Posh Live, and eBay Live, and any of the other live platforms. And we try to include them in all of our episodes. Today, we have a super guest star with us, probably the biggest YouTuber that we could find.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He has a great following. He has a great personality. And yes, I'm trying to get back on his podcast again because he has had me on as a guest on his podcast. But we have none other than that's you,
Danindemand.
Oh, it's like,
you did everything else.
You see the T part right
do, but you
here
wouldn't stop talking.
on our.
What do you have a
show
script
notes?
over there?
We have show notes.
He doesn't.
You
follow.
said this was all unedited.
It is.
It is
What,
unedited.
you guys are reading off a script?
No.
What's the next thing
No.
you're supposed to say?
We just have notes.
The only thing
I'm
that
just
it says right now is this introduction of our guest, and it had a T by it, and
Did
Tracy
it have
messed
Brian
that up.
points
I
to
didn't
Tracy?
mess it up. You kept going.
I thought you were like messing up and trying to point to me that I was supposed to introduce
I did
myself.
too.
That's I was like,
I really
Dan-
did also.
Dan
And what does that
Demand?
say right there?
And now we're supposed to let Dan talk.
Yeah, and it
So-
literally says
What-
that.
Let Dan talk. What am I supposed to talk about?
You.
You got to introduce yourself.
You already introduced me. I don't know what else to say.
A man of few words. guys.
I don't even know how to introduce I'm Dan, I guess is the best way to say it.
Tell us about
I'm
where
Dan
you
and I'm
live
in demand.
sell.
And where do I?
And where are you
where
at
do I
on
like-
YouTube?
Where am I at on YouTube? Oh yeah, okay. Well, I have a YouTube channel, Danindemand. You can find me there sometimes, hopefully, and then you can find me on the Reseller Leftovers podcast. And then do you have a leftovers sticker? Did I ever send you one of those when I was on there before?
Maybe.
Because I was on there. And
I
quit.
have some.
I think we have an
some.
older one.
I have an
Or
older
did you
one.
burn it? Did you burn it when I quit? In solidarity. Then I'm back, and then I guess
Okay,
I
I unsubbed when you quit, Dan. How about that?
No,
But then
I
we
did too, and then I
we resubbed.
resubbed.
Now we resub
that's good.
because Dan is back. This is, by the way, after Dan told me that he didn't want to do a podcast with guests when I asked him to do a podcast with me.
No,
And he
guests.
said,
What do you mean
I don't
guests?
want
Like,
to. I don't want to be locked down to doing a podcast and finding.
Oh,
guests
so
that
you
they-
wait-
they
him
slide
under
you
the
wait
past.
until you get me on camera to confront me about that. Well, there's a big difference, Brian. Is that I left that podcast, and then you wanted to start a podcast with me, and I wasn't ready to do a podcast, like make a commitment like that, because my heart was still with that podcast, but like I had to leave the podcast. So then I started doing my podcast, and then the opportunity to go back to the podcast was like, all right,
This
I
is
guess
going to be officially titled the podcast with the most podcast references in it completely.
Well, I mean, I thought this was supposed to be even not another podcast.
I did too.
It turns into like the Jerry Springer show. You're confronting me. I didn't realize I was getting ambushed. Did the note say you're getting ambushed me?
Oh my gosh.
Danindemand, you are not the father.
So I did. I mean, we don't have to spend time on this. I did. I mean, it was tough because I that was a big part of wanting to do a podcast was that podcast, and then stuff just live selling was part of the destruction of me in that podcast. Was one of the reasons. Between that and some other things, it was like I got to get out of here. So I left, but so then I waited. I don't know. I mean, because you were the first guest on my podcast, and I
didn't kill it.
Like, no, but it's I think Jen killed it. To be honest,
Oh my
I'm
God.
just joking. Well, I took a hiatus. I'm not hiatus. It's actually I'll probably be. Oh, when does this come out? It'll be after.
This will come
I'll be
out on
back.
Sunday, hopefully at noon.
Yeah.
Everybody's fingers crossed because I haven't made it yet.
Why don't you make it?
Well, let's just say that the first time we were at the Nashville meetup, which is, by the way, where we got the sticker for Dan's podcast.
I don't even have that
open
sticker.
with Danindemand. Dan couldn't make it to the Nashville meetup, so he sent stickers. which is awesome.
He left his computer at home, so he didn't get to launch
I left my
it.
computer at home.
And the rest of the time is because he doesn't know the difference between AM and PM. That's pretty much what it boils down.
Do you not do military time? Do you military
I do.
time?
But
So you should know.
the podcast, but the YouTube does not.
Oh, so that's okay. They'll say, look at
Yeah.
military time. Oh, wait.
He likes to try to launch it at 12 a.m.
Right.
I launched one of them on Saturday by accident.
Yeah.
I got
1300. I live and die by military time.
That's normal time, I guess, is what the people in the central time zone call it.
What?
Weird time.
1 p.m. Oh, because it's like 2.
Yeah.
No,
1300.
Central time, they always call it normal time, or at least that's what Corey did. By the
That's
way,
a good
Dan was
time,
a
right?
guest. What's that?
That's a good time, though. Well, right now, it's 1 o'clock is a great time. Like, if it's 2, I'm like, man, it's already 2 o'clock. Ugh.
It is 2 o'clock, Dan,
Ugh.
for us.
Ugh.
Thanks.
Ugh. Like, I got to do this podcast with Dan. It's already 2
Oh my
o'clock.
God. I think Dan is the one who's saying that. He's going, oh man, I got to do another podcast.
No, because I'm doing it at 1, so I'm great. And when it comes 2 o'clock, a little bit, 2 o'clock will be, well, how long? Like hour and a half? Is that what these go? What yours go for? So,
We
2
shoot
o'clock
for an
we wrap it
hour.
up. Oh,
We shoot for an hour,
okay.
but I have a feeling this will go longer.
Yeah, this does seem
Oh, yeah,
like
'cause
it's going to take a while.
I'm sorry. I know. I do this.
I'm
thing
letting
with these
Dan
podcasts.
talk.
Well, I do talk a ton, but I just take over people's podcasts. I feel like I don't talk
But
a
you
lot.
like that.
And
Dan, believe me, this
guys went through the
podcast
whole-
needs all the help it can get.
Yeah. What? No, I won't say that. But you guys walked me through the entire note taking or what all the stuff we have planned to talk
Right,
about.
right.
Yeah,
And
I did.
We're like 10 minutes in, and I don't even know what I've rambled about.
Well, we're 6 minutes in, but thank you.
Oh well, in
You're
the
doing
central
fine.
time, we're 10 minutes in. All right.
Guys, if you ever get a chance to meet Danindemand, please take it. We met Danindemand in Indiana. Okay. Here's the picture that I was showing Dan. We were at the bins. Dan was gracious enough to meet up with Tracy and I at the bins when we were going to Plains to Profit.
Oh, okay. I thought
And
you were gonna make me feel bad again.
I didn't want to
Because
make you feel bad at
because you
all.
didn't come eat pizza with the rest of us?
Yes.
Yeah, because I wanted the entire time. Let me tell these people, everyone that's listening, the entire time that for I don't know how months it was. We're meeting up at the bins. We're meeting up at the bins. We're meeting up at the bins. And then the last second it was like, we're gonna have a pizza party. I'm like, we're going to the bins. Like I ended up crushing it at the bins that day. I got to meet you and I made money.
That's the
You
best.
did.
That is the best.
Me
You
and
guys made money
Dan
too, right?
literally. What's that?
You guys made money too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tracy found like
Yeah,
a
see?
what a $140 dog,
Yes.
stuffed dog at the bins that you guys
There you go.
were at. Yeah,
It was a good trip.
and I got to spend most of the time. I spent most of the time with Dan talking about buying shoes and.
Let me tell you, he bought a pair of shoes and they're still sitting on the shelf.
Oh my God, you are horrible.
Never touched them.
I haven't cleaned the golf shoes yet either, Dan. But I do got your recommendations on how to do that.
Yeah, I usually do that unless I've been lazy the last week of cleaning shoes because it was nice. One day it was really nice outside here in Indiana, and I
Mhm.
was outside cleaning shoes, but it's been cold ever since then. So I've been kind of just using some like I don't know what it's called, like all purpose cleaner.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
I don't know what it's called. Just kind of doing a rough, just wiping the shoes down and list it. I'm like, whatever. They might be a little bit. They're not perfect, but. Just mark them down.
Now you know why we wanted Danindemand on our show right now, guys.
to ruin
And
it.
I told them that we are raw, so we don't do any edits. And
No.
you're getting the real Danindemand, and
I
this
like
is the
that.
one that everybody loves. Everybody loves that. All right, we got a Q&A session for Danindemand.
me
So
water.
he's already throwing his hands up. Oh my God. Obviously, Dan has never watched any of our episodes.
I have
otherwise
seen
he
your
would know how we've done
podcast.
these.
I've seen. How many have I seen? How many of you had 8?
This will
I've
be
seen-
the 8th one.
Yeah.
Oh, so 7? I've seen at least 3.
That is awesome.
That's awesome. So we
I'm
got
sorry.
at least 3 views.
I'll be.
We got at least 3. We're going up. We're going up.
Oh, whatever.
So we're gonna ask some tough questions of Dan
They're
and
not
Dan.
that tough.
Yeah, they're never all of that.
I
tough
hope
and
not.
stuff.
I didn't know.
But,
I was gonna
oh
get
no,
tested.
they're not. They're not, because I talk to Dan occasionally on the phone, and we text message back and forth and everything. And Dan was a guest that we wanted to have on. I mean, fairly early in on our show, because as I tell everybody, we're not here to blow smoke up anybody's behind about saying that, oh, Whatnot is the best. You got to come on Whatnot. It is the greatest. Live selling is the next big thing.
Oh.
No, we understand that what is happening is that live selling is growing, and it does have issues, and there are issues, which is we talk about those issues. All right. So question number one, Dan, you're going to love this question because I already know the answer to this one, but a lot of the people may not know this one. But how did you get started in the reselling business?
Oh, just the reselling in general, not the live selling.
Yeah, reselling in general.
Well, okay. So there's like twice I've got into reselling. In like 2013, I think I found a show on Spike TV. Never remember the name of it. They went to I think it was Thrift Hunters, maybe, I don't know. They had a guy named he has a Facebook group. It's called
Jason T. Smith.
Yes, Jason T. Smith.
Yeah.
There's a show he was on. It was on Spike TV, and I saw it. And him and then some other guy, they were going to thrift stores and stuff. So like, oh, this is really cool. And I've always been interested in like in having some kind of business. And when I was younger, I looked in. I was always like, oh, I want to own a franchise or something, and all that stuff. You need like tons of money. You just need money. So anyway, I was like, oh, this could be a stepping stone to that. I could do that. Like, do reselling, and then maybe I'll make enough money, and then I can work my way up to a business. So I like went to the thrift store, found some stuff, and didn't really do a very good job of it. And I did it for like 6 months, and just liked it, but just didn't really know it. So I had everything shoved in my closet for years. And then in 2019, I was like trying to. In 2020, I was turning 40. So in 2019, I like had this like thing. I'm like, I got to get my stuff together. Like I worked at the casino, and I spent all my money on everything. I never never felt like I was prepared. Never had anything ready. So anyway, I was like 2019. I'm like, I want to get out of debt. I want to. Someone sold something. That got me distracted. Anyway,
I sold books.
She sold books.
Yeah,
oh,
a lot of books on eBay.
Oh, that's good. Okay. That's
on
nice.
on our live selling focused platform. She sold on eBay.
Oh, that's good, right? That's awesome. eBay's the king. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to say that. But anyway, so
you're allowed to say anything, Dan.
I know you did say I could say whatever I wanted. So I've got a lot of stuff that you're not going to get censored and muted over here today. I'm going to say what I want. I'm joking.
You are allowed to. That's
I'm joking. I mean, it's not like a huge show. So anyway, I was like, oh, I got to get out of debt. Blah 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 blah. So I went through. I sold on Amazon too before, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna start selling on Amazon. And I started watching a video, and those videos ended up. I started going to like Ross and stuff, and trying to do retail arbitrage. It was the worst for me. Like I know people do it and they kill it, I think, but it was not for me. But anyway, I found reselling again, and then I was just, oh, okay, this is how you do it this way, and then I just got hooked on it doing in 2019 the summer, and I loved it. It was so much fun. And then during the pandemic, I ended up losing my job and just was like, oh, I'm gonna just do reselling. I think I answered it.
Awesome.
You know, a lot of people Tracy and I have interviewed and talked to have a lot of that same the stories that when they started reselling because of something happened at a job, and then they did it right before the pandemic hit, and everybody knows that when the pandemic hit, everybody was buying online.
By the time
everybody's
the pandemic,
business went way up.
I was still very new during the pandemic, so like I didn't, I didn't do great during the pandemic. Before the pandemic, I loved reselling so much because it was kind of cool because I could just go out a few times. I'm like a homebody. I like to be at home, and I'm like, oh, I can go out and get stuff, come home, I can work from home. I don't have to worry about the weather or anything. I like a freak about. I don't like snow and stuff. So I'm like, oh, I can do that, and I wanted to quit my job so I could do this. And I like the pandemic. I would have probably. I don't know if I was just. I was on someone else's podcast recently, and I think it was Corey. He asked me if I would have. I don't know if I ever would have quit if I didn't get let go, because it was the stability of having a paycheck was just great. And then when it finally was done, it was so like freeing not to have to worry about like the money was great to get money, but when you don't have money coming
Right.
in from it, it was like, oh, okay, I'll just now I'm always worried about the making money, I guess, is my problem now.
Even that's when I quit my part-time job, was in the pandemic, because reselling ramped up so much. I was like, I don't need to do this anymore. And it was miserable. So,
Right. And I quit before it. So it was really,
Oh,
it was really good.
But like during
We
that
have
time,
one.
I just wasn't making. I didn't make a ton. I didn't know what I was doing. It's just since then I just decided I had got out of debt before the pandemic, and then
Well,
during the
that's good.
pandemic I because I was like I would have been if it happened like the year before I had started, I would have been just totally not well. But like financially, like I budgeted myself down to like the end and stuff. That's what makes it tough right now because of how much stuff has gone up. I had budgeted myself like to the bare minimum. So like now when
Mhm.
stuff goes up, like I mean, everything's twice as much, I guess.
oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we were
it
talking
makes it.
about the cost of having StreamYard. Dan and I
Yeah.
were talking.
Oh yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
were
I
talking
forgot
about that
we knew.
before we started the
Probably
thing.
talked
That
20
it
minutes
actually
about that.
doubled.
Yeah. And that was one of the reasons that I like had to take a hiatus. I've talked about that because I've been on. So like I guess it's a great time to take a break from my podcast is because I've been on everyone's podcast this week and I was talking about that I just
Mhm.
had to like financially $45 spending on StreamYard was not I couldn't justify it. Like
Right.
$45 is like my groceries for the week or
Oh,
I
yeah,
spent I spent
absolutely.
Yeah,
$30
definitely.
at the grocery store the other day. But that's like my groceries for the week or I spent $30 in gas like that was more important to me than because I like did Vendu too. Like it was just like, all right, let me just I need to take a break. Like I have to. I don't know. It sucks. And I don't say it like because like I'm like struggling. But financially, it seems smarter to save that $45 for something else. Like I guess.
It adds up. I mean, I know we've got StreamYard, I do CapCut, I do Photo Room. I mean, all of those things. And you think about how much that is altogether, and it's like, dang, I could
I think
practically rent
I
a
have
car
photo
or
room
something,
too,
you know?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I have to check because I think photo room I pay by the year, and I think it's in May it comes up. So I might have to. That would be one I would cut too, like for right now. Until
Right.
It's a great point that Dan is making too, is to always evaluate and reevaluate what's working, what's worth keeping, what's saying, okay, I didn't get the benefit out of this particular app that I'm paying for. Yeah, constantly reevaluating exactly what you're doing. It's a great point.
So, what are your goals for your business in the weeks, months, and even years ahead? What, like, immediate and, looking a little further out?
Yeah.
That's a tough question. I was just talking to someone about that last week. To be honest, is because since I've done this full time, I never
Mhm.
really think about way down the road. I'm just constantly worried about like right now. I'm like, all right, let me just get to here, and which is weird, I guess, because I when it comes to like listing, I'm not the best at live selling, so I'm gonna use like just from listing. If you're static seller, when instead of just worrying about what I'm listing today on eBay, I try to make it always be the same thing every day. But if I don't,
Right.
I just look at the big like for the week and then I look at the month. But I when it comes to like my overall business, I've never sat down. It was just like, all right, how am I going to survive so I can make it to the next point? So then it's like I've just
Yeah.
every year I'm just like, okay, I'll look when it gets to the end of the year. Did I do better than I did last year? I
Mhm.
Right.
had, but like the end of last year, I hadn't. Like because I took, to be honest, it was live selling. I put so much time into doing live selling that it
Mhm.
affected my overall business because I didn't make what I was making the year before because I had just started live selling. And then I was like, oh, that's one of the reasons I never wanted to live sell is because I looked at live selling kind of like when I started YouTube that you put a lot of time in for no money back and like it's fun, it's great to do, but like you don't have anything to show for it. And then it's like I finally got to a point on my YouTube where I was monetized. That still wasn't making any money. And then like all of a sudden everyone's going to doing whatnots and stuff and live selling. And then like between trying to static list do YouTube and do whatnot shows. There's just I don't have
Mhm.
enough time in the day. Like,
Well,
and then I
will tell you that I think that's very common. Even
Yeah, it is.
us last year, we moved to a much higher percentage of live selling versus static selling, and it was our lowest net per year that we've had in several years.
Yeah.
But for us, it was a launching point. This year should not only surpass last year. I'm thinking we're going to be back in the days of where we were doing full eBay
near the pandemic
yeah,
level.
but
you got to put that time.
it
I
took
mean, you guys
taking
did it
that
so-
hit to be able to get to that point.
Say it again.
And I wasn't set up to take a hit like that. Like I'm not set up.
Right.
That's where I'm at right now. Is that not just that like the live selling was part of what I'm going through right now, but it was just other things. Like I started focus. I sell mostly like clothing and shoes, and
That's one of the things
I
I
was
was worried
trying to do some cards. I've tried so many different niches too, but I was doing some cards, and that's like super low volume. I mean, not low volume. It's super low, like not expensive cards. So you need high volume, and that wasn't working. And that's where that's what I'm living through right now. Is that it was not working for me, and I enjoy doing that. So I'm trying to figure out how to make that part of my business, but not solely focus on that and work on my stuff that actually makes me money, so I can survive. And that goes to one of the reasons I had to pause my accounts on things is because I just need that. I can't spend I'm not spending anything. One of the reasons I didn't want to go to Nashville is I would have just, I mean, I would have had a hitchhike home, like probably. Maybe not.
Okay, for the
Probably.
record, anybody that is watching right now at this point, I did offer to drive to Indiana to pick up Dan and drive him to the Nashville meetup.
Don't make me feel. I had multiple offers for.
I'm sure you did.
I'm sure you did.
Very nice. I couldn't, but like I had to do I had to work. It was a working week for me. It was a working. It's every day is a work. I mean, I swear. I don't try to like work. I'm not saying I like work all the time or because I got Ray yelled at me on my podcast about it. Like I'm always I piddle around for a while and I get sidetracked and do other things. Like what have I done today? I don't know.
Right.
That's the other part is hard. Well, okay. So that will answer part of Tracy's questions. Is that what I want to? By this time when I started, I thought it would be cool to have my own space, like to have, like there's some offices over here near my house. Like, oh, that would be so cool to have like a space right there where I can go there and have my inventory there and go there and do my work. When I'm at home, it's like, oh, it's lunchtime. Let me sit down. Let me make lunch. I don't have anything ready for lunch, so I'm making lunch because I don't have any lunch meat today. So like I had a sandwich. I made sure I went to the store yesterday and got lunch meat. But sometimes I don't always have a sandwich. So then I'm like sitting there making like tacos for lunch. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm making tacos. I'm supposed to be working. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm unprepared sometimes. But if I'm off that work or oh, there's a sink full of dishes. Let me wash these dishes because I'm eating lunch and I'm gonna make more dishes, or I got to put dishes away so I can out of the dishwasher so I can put the dirty dishes in there. So I get sidetracked. So I honestly thought I would have my own space to be able to go to work, and then, but not too far because I want to be at home. You know what I mean?
Well, I could tell you that is one of probably the most common issues that resellers have is that when they work from home, they get distracted very, very easily. And that falls under us also. Before this podcast, we had recorded a couple of our episodes for our weekly shows. And then I went in and sat down and played Oblivion. So I was in there playing Oblivion instead of working or doing anything. So that's a very, very common.
I was taking pictures so I can list later. Because when we get done with
do that.
When you get done with, because you're gonna do live sale, right? You'll do a live. You have a show.
Well, we do live sell, but we still have a percentage of our business is static listing.
Yeah,
I know, but do you have a show today?
Not today.
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Oh.
No, that's okay. Well, when this show comes out, actually, the day that this show comes out, we have 3 shows.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
We have a Star Wars show. We have a Battle of the Best, which this is our Battle of the Best shirt right here, which is a KISS shirt. That's our Battle of the Best. What's that?
Which one's the Battle of the Best? Is that the one with Paul?
No. This one is with CG Boomerang
Spotlight.
Echo.
Garage sale Spotlight.
Yeah, and we have that today too, because that's going to be later on tonight.
Today when this is
When this
released.
comes out, we have
And that's when you
that
crush
one
it
right
every
there.
week, right? You crush it at that one, right?
That is our
That's our
big
payday,
money
if you
show
will.
every
I
week.
know
I
that
watched
when
I watched some of those, and those are, man, like, geez, man. Because I'm
know
like, man, I wish
he
I could.
literally made fun of me on one of them because he
Who, I
said
did?
I showed you all of the boxes that we were doing, the
No, I didn't
box
make
sets of
no,
the thing,
those
and
miserable.
you were like, I wouldn't want to ship all of
I
those
wouldn't want
things.
to. I would never want to ship all that.
Well, we did that one. In that show, we made about $1,500 in 20 minutes, and it
I don't
took
think I
us
made.
about probably an hour and a half to ship it all.
Yeah.
I don't think I made
So
$1,500 on Whatnot. I don't think so. I don't know. They sent me to 1099, and I'm like, are you serious? I didn't make that much money. There's no chance I made money on most of the stuff I was selling, because I was selling stuff and I was like losing on like half of it probably. Just
well, we're going to talk about some of that too.
yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm probably
No, you're perfectly fine, Dan. You know, I told you I'm not
long-winded
editing.
answers. And I don't even know if I long-winded maybe answered your question. I'm not sure.
You did, and the I can tell you right now that question actually came from our guest that's going to be on next week, because I was a guest. He guest hosted me on his Whatnot show, and the first question he asked me is what is your business plan? What is your goal? And I sat there for like about 2 minutes and thinking, going, we don't have one.
Yeah,
And so realizing that we've been able to focus now more on doing our YouTube, because we want to grow our YouTube very, very much so. So that was one of our focuses on that. And then on Whatnot, what did we want to do on Whatnot as far as building our business and building our brand, to whereas we can have those shows where we make that kind of money on it. Now, of course, we had a lot of help with that show because it's part of a raid train. And so we have Paul and the support of Paul, the Philly Flipper. And so that's a great one.
And he always has like these big dogs on the train that build the numbers up. And
right, exactly. So that was a great answer though, Dan. And you know, I enjoyed hearing it, because that's stuff that I didn't know. I didn't know that you wanted to have your own office space. I know that Ray has his, and so does TJ. You know, because
we did at one point, but we are now working completely out of our garage.
Yeah.
Well, another would be like a shed or something. If it was just out of the house, I guess. So I guess it could be like a shed. Or when we got new siding on the house a few years ago, and I was trying to talk in my garage. There was a window, and my stepdad was taking out the window because it didn't want to put a new window in there. It cost too much. Just put siding up, and I was trying to talk him into like building out part of the garage so he could insulate it and stuff and give me a workspace, and that got shot down.
Well, actually, Tracy and I are talking about doing that where we live, is having a building, a separate, what do they call it? A detached garage is what they call it here. And us working out of that, and then using the garage space that we have that we're using now as more of a garage.
Yeah.
Because right now it's not. That's where we do most of our work.
We
got very, very lucky because we have a studio that we were able to record in and everything. So
that's awesome.
It's a studio. Yeah, exactly. So Dan, what are your preferred sourcing methods, and how do they help you or hurt you in let's say for live selling instance? How does any sourcing, any preferred sourcing help with live selling, or does it hurt you with live selling?
I'm trying to figure out. I'm almost I think this May is 2 years I've been trying to live sell, and I think this week I can't tell. I can't remember if I'm liking it or hating it, because I go back and forth. Because I constantly keep up with it. Because I had a good show a few weeks ago, and that's what keeps me going. I'm like, oh, it's a good show. This is why you do it, because it's so easy. Like I did a buy, and I did a buy from a listener, and I paid $120 for a bunch of Blu-rays, DVDs, some action figures, video games and stuff, and just some other odds, like some clothes. And I had like 80 Blu-rays. I went through, got my Blu-rays ready on Saturday. Sunday, I did a show on Whatnot, made $236 gross from the show.
That
I
is
sold
awesome.
Wow.
63 DVD or Blu-rays in an hour, and I'm like, sweet, I've almost doubled my money before fees and taxes and stuff. But it turned out it was I was $60 in the profit. Had pulled some of the DVDs that were like brand new that were just too easy not to just list on eBay to sell those for $14-15. Listed those, started selling some of those, and then still had other stuff to list. Is that what you're asking me? I don't even remember what you're asking.
I was actually asking how you sourced, and you actually answered that.
That helps. Whenever so like doing the podcast on the leftovers, I was there's a listener of the leftovers podcast, and I was at the bins. That's where I source at the bins, and I do thrift. Like, I'm a thrifter. I would like to be like a garage sale guy, but I just suck. I do suck at garage selling. I'm not patient enough because I don't know. I actually don't know if you guys garage sale. I'm sure you do.
We do.
Right? I don't take enough time. Like, I get frustrated because I'm out. Like, I'm very like, I like to be at home. I said that, but like also like oh god, this is so crazy. I was so like a nut when I talk about this, but just like my dog at home, and my dog is like a real person. Like, I've had him. He has like separation.
You just saw the cat on Tracy's shoulder, right?
I know, but it sounds nuts because this is what I always get yelled at about, is that when I got him, it was just like my other dog. I could leave. I went out sourcing and came home, and he had his own little things that he liked, but he was fine because I had worked. And then I after he passed away, I got a dog, and he was like an adult. He was like 2 or 3 at the time, and he was a stray. And then the first time I left him, he like went nuts in his crate and like made him like. And then before that, every time I would leave, he like would flip out and like wouldn't let me leave and try to run out of the house with me, and it was like just an ordeal. So I like this time I put him in a crate and I had to leave, and I went to the post office, came back, and it was just such a mess. Like, he made a big old mess, and I'm like, I can't leave him. So like my mom started coming over and just holding him down so I could leave, and then she would just hang out with him, and he slowly like he's been better, but I've had him. This will be almost 4 years I've had him, and the dog's he's never alone anymore. Like, it's just become like he's just always. So now I've like kind of, I don't know how he would do. Like, it's been a few times where there's been like a family funeral or something we all have to be at that he's been by himself, and I come home and there's like a mess around the house. Like, he doesn't do well on his own, and so like I'm limited on how much time I get to go out. Like, my mom, she watches him, she comes and picks him up in the morning, and then I do my work, and then when I'm done with we have a time like at 2:30 my time, I go drop off my package at the post office. I go over to her house, and I watch Inside Edition, and she tells me about Dodgers Day, and then I leave and I come home, and then I have him for the rest of the day. And then like my mom, she's great, and she watches him like 6 days a week basically, because she enjoys hanging out with him too. But like there's days she wants to go out with her friends, have lunch and stuff, so I'm with him, and I feel guilty leaving him because it's just I feel so bad. So I'm very limited on where I go. So I'll have to tell you, like, I don't know why I'm telling you all this. Oh my god, this is I'm sorry.
Love animals, so
yeah, you're talking to our heart. I will let you know, when we went to Nashville, we were in the car less than an hour, and Tracy said, "I miss the cats." And I'm like, we just left an hour ago. When we go out yard selling, we're out longer than an hour. And she's like, I miss the cats. I miss the cats.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's what it was. I was like, why am I telling you this? So like when I go yard selling and stuff, if I'm out and about, like I'm trying to find stuff, but then it gets to the point where, I need money. Like, I need to find stuff that I'm going to make money on. So then I end up at the thrift store, or I end up at the bins because I can get a bunch of stuff. But if I'm thrifting, most people probably, they either still go to a thrift store, they know how much that stuff costs, or they quit going to the thrift store because they know how much stuff costs. It's not super cheap anymore. So it's like tough to find stuff there. So I can't justify doing stuff for, I don't know, paying $5, $6, $7 and then trying to run it on a live show, right? Like, if no one's buying it from me for $7 starts, and then if I started at $2, they're probably not buying it from me anyway there either. But if they are, I'm losing money because I'm not getting $7. So I've struggled with trying to source. I'll do the bins and I'll find some stuff, and then I get stuck with stuff I don't want to sell. Like, I think when I'm at the bins, I'm like, oh yeah, this would be great for Whatnot. And then I get it and it's not, no one bought it for me from that show. And then I'm stuck with it. So does that answer your? I'm so sorry. I can't remember.
It did. When we were at the bins, Dan, when we got there, Dan had a big IKEA bag full of shoes. And so I'm trying to learn about.
Have you done a shoe show on Whatnot?
No.
Have we? No. I've seen people doing shoes on Whatnot, and I highly recommend not doing shoes on Whatnot.
I am.
Because Whatnot is okay. When I think about Whatnot, I think about how many eyes am I going to have on my product?
Yes.
And are those eyes going to want my product? And I need at least 2 people that want the product for that bidding to take place.
Yeah.
Shoes are things that people are either buying to resell or they're buying for themselves.
Yep.
Okay. If they're buying them for themselves, well, I got to hit the right size, style. Yep. You know, some people have wide feet. I have wide feet. So I cannot buy anything that is not, 10.5 wide. Otherwise my feet will hurt. So I know that, I need to have more eyes on it. So it'll go to a static listing. Yeah. That's
my problem. I've constantly tried different, or you have an abundance of the same stuff. And that's how I ended up in the, so it started, my Whatnot starting live selling was from going thrifting and finding like t-shirts that were on 50% off sale. And they're like, oh, this is only $2, like, or $2.50. And I could start this at $3. And then, some of them are cool. They might go for a little bit more, but they're maybe a $10 shirt. Like, I don't want to list that on eBay and wait 6 months and store it. And if I can sell it, if I can buy it for $2.50 today and sell it for $5 on Whatnot, great. But that just, I don't know how many. If someone's listened to me, because I use that same example, because that's the way it's happened for me. The reason I got on there was specifically for that, because I sell clothing, and I saw a lot of value in those small things that are just quick flippers. That's just someone needs a T-shirt or something, and if I'll spend $2.50 to sell it for $5 and bring it home today and make double my money today, but it never worked out. When you go on Whatnot and you look at that category, the men's modern category is almost, I feel like it's, I haven't looked in like probably a few months, but it's basically non-existent. All the clothing is all vintage clothing, and it's guys with just mountains of vintage clothing, and I don't find that stuff. And if I go to the bins, there's 50 other people there looking for that stuff that I'm not gonna fight someone over that stuff either to do that. So I just don't, it's never worked out. So then I've tried different niches in like for live selling to figure out where I could fit in. And then I've talked about it a billion times, and it was the cards. Like cards, they're cheap to buy, and if you can sell them in volume, because you can buy big lots, and I bought big lots off of eBay and Facebook, and you could get them, and then you can sell them in volume on those live sites. But again, I've talked to probably 100 times you, Brian, about it, and I mean the same thing. It's a lot of competition, and it's a new category to me, so I get stuck with a bunch of cards that I don't want. People don't want.
Then he sends them to me.
Well, you like the Dolphins.
Yes, I do.
I told you that you could go through and maybe there's a player. Like if someone sent me a box of, I'm a Cubs fan. Someone sent me a box of Cubs card, I would dig through it and find the Cubs I wanted and then get rid of the rest. Like whatever.
There you go.
What is that? What is that?
Sammy Sosa?
The only Cub I don't like.
The only Cub you don't like, and I got like a whole
like 50
thing of those.
Sammy Sosa cards from a storage unit.
Yeah.
So I use
those. I'm not a huge Sammy Sosa guy. Like I don't hate him, but he wasn't like my favorite. But
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know if I answered your question, but that's kind of
You did. But I do have a follow-up question because it's something that I've noticed in just talking to you, which I did not know before. But obviously, everybody budgets for the week or the month or whatever it may be of how much money that they're going to be spending. And I've noticed that one of the things that I'm starting to notice is that the more that we spend on a budget, if we say, okay, well, we're going to go and buy this storage, like a lot of people asked me yesterday when I was on Mike Medco's show, they said, hey, how many storage units do you buy? And I said, well, Tracy and I at one time, we were buying like up to 8 to 10 storage units a month. And they were smaller units and they were $100 units, or the most we would spend. I remember the first unit that we bid $300 on, and we were like really, really nervous about that. Now we buy like 1 or 2 units every 6 months or 3 months, but we're spending about, anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 on that unit. But that's our budget for that. We're talking about the t-shirts, and I know that TJ is one of them, Pallet Jackin, who he buys them in bundles.
Okay.
Have you ever looked into buying bundles of t-shirts, or would that be something that's maybe not necessarily that you have in that budget?
So for budget, I go out. When I go out and I buy whatever. I'll buy whatever, and then I come home and I want to list it, and then I won't go out again until I'm done listing. And that's one of the things is how I don't want to spend my money, is because I don't ever want to not buy something because I don't have enough money to buy it. So that's what I've been working towards, is to have like a separate I have a separate account when it comes to that stuff, and then like when it's time to pay myself every 2 weeks, I look at what my bills are and I pay myself. But the rest of it is I can spend whatever I want, but like I want to make sure I have enough money. But to answer that, for that part of the question, is when I first got into this, I like bought mystery boxes and mystery like things, and went on different places and like researched, or not researched, but just looked up like a t-shirt thing, like a box of t-shirts, and then like I bought that stuff and I'd spend $200, $300, $400 for this stuff, and it would come and it would just be crap. It wouldn't be anything I would want. Like it would be a couple nice pieces, and then you're stuck with a bunch of t-shirts that no one wants. That like then I just don't trust it. I don't trust those.
Right.
No,
like
that's good. I mean,
I wish I could. I could buy like I've looked on I bought some stuff from on the district from Shopcommons, some clothing bundles, but sometimes on there some of that stuff there's good stuff. They have a lot of good stuff, but a lot of times you got to be on there and find it, and then sometimes it's just stuff that I personally just don't want to. I see that brand everywhere, so I don't want to buy it. Just
right.
for the couple pieces I do want out of there, and then I don't want to see it. So, where I bought mystery boxes before, someone will send it to me, and then there's always something wrong with something. There's always I mean, not always, but it's just like, oh, I wouldn't have. It might be fine, but sometimes I'm just like, I wouldn't have bought that just for there. I don't think I can get full value out of this, because there's this part, like, just if there's something wrong with, there's something like some stitching on it's wrong or something, that, or just some kind of imperfection that me personally, I don't feel comfortable. I don't think it's worth the full value of it, but it might be. I'm just don't know. So I would just like, I don't want to mess with that. Or there's too much crap.
I will say that is one of the benefits to live selling, because when you do live selling, you can point out all of those flaws.
I get
and
nervous
if somebody buys it,
like I'm talking right now, I'm like a space cadet. I feel like I'm just I've just been rambling, and I don't know half the stuff I'm saying. But like that's when I'm doing lives. When I'm doing lives, I sometimes forget that there's some like, oh, I forgot this. I forgot to say that. I feel awful. I feel like, and then I like send it to them. And then I always like, oh gosh, they're gonna think I'm like did this on purpose. So then I'm like, I didn't do it on purpose. I just complete. So I'll try to, like, if I do, I have some stuff here. I think I'll put notes on for. It doesn't. I guess you're never gonna. It doesn't matter. It does a little bit, but like I have a shirt and I have where it has like a hole. It has a hole in the armpit, so I'll write a note for myself so I know, because I don't. I used to list everything. And that was one thing that deterred me from live selling was I go back and forth. Like I list everything and then I spend so much time preparing for a show and then I don't sell anything. But I spent 2 hours curating, listing, and then putting that there's a small imperfection on this when you could talk about it during the live. And then I've done the random pool shows and then no one buys anything because they don't want to sit around and wait. And they don't, I don't know.
That is a debate for everyone that does live selling because we go back and forth all the time. And I try to do kind of a balance of shows.
We do.
Yeah.
You know.
What have you found? You live sell on multiple platforms, obviously Whatnot, and I believe Dibdit cards and maybe regular Dibdit. What have you found doing it on the different platforms? What do you like or dislike about the different platforms? What if you were making your own platform, what would you take out of each of them?
Yeah. I sell on Whatnot, and then I do Dibdit cards, and then I've done a few shows on Dibdit threads, which is like the clothes. I used to do just Dibdit before they branched off. And with District, I like their shipping. Their shipping's great because they have like progressive shipping where you can like for instance, my card shows I do on Wednesday nights. It's $5 to ship card. It's $5 flat fee. So the first card you buy, you pay $5, and then as many cards as you want to buy, it's free after that. You don't have to pay any more for shipping.
Okay. I can see that being really good for cards.
Yeah, that would definitely entice people.
And then for like a shirt, it was I think because the other thing I like is the co-streaming. You can co-stream. I know you can co-stream on Whatnot, but when you co-stream on Dibdit or District, I co-stream my card show with Keith Vintage Sports Flip, and we both do cards. We do 3 cards at a time, and when we're selling the cards, like he's selling cards and he's getting his to his account. I'm selling cards that are coming to my account. Like on Whatnot, if I'm on your channel, I'm selling it all. You're selling it all. And then we're splitting them. Like you have to split up the money later.
Yeah.
Right?
You're talking about like a battle.
Right.
Yeah. Really,
like when we've done battles.
Dan and I have been on a graphic t-shirt battle that happened last year. We were actually on the same team. And yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Sorry. But you can't, I will say this, you can't do battles on District. Okay?
Right.
People have talked about it, but the logistics of it would not work because
you're only bidding on one person's
thing at a time.
Right. So, yeah. But if you don't like, I
do like the co-hosting aspect of District.
Yeah, I think it's great. And then so if you just do like shirts, you could do $5 or $6 for the first shirt, and then each shirt's like $1 for the shirt instead of like. I mean, you could on Whatnot, you could do the flat rate thing, but like eventually someone's paying something, and then Whatnot.
Actually, you could do free shipping.
Well, then you're paying. Yeah, but you're paying the shipping, and then you don't get any. Like on District, you can ship it however you want. You can buy You can buy the label from them, which they use Shippo, or you could go to Pirate Ship and ship from there, and just import it. Like on Whatnot, you're tied up with Whatnot shipping, and anything that is charged, they're getting the kickback, and that's my biggest beef with a lot of sites is the ship when it comes down to ship. Like I'm not the world's greatest shipper. I mean, I constantly, not so much anymore because I sell mostly clothes. But when I used to sell everything, or a lot of stuff, when I was first starting, I mean, I was constantly losing on shipping on eBay, and it was just like growing pains. But when it comes to like Whatnot, their shipping it's like Macari. Macari shipping's like awful. And
let me say, and I am a Whatnot like fangirl, but it took us a long time to get the hang of it. But once we did, it's amazing. I sold 57 items last night, and we had maxed out shipping. Nobody paid over $9.21.
Whatever came out would come out.
It only wound up costing us $8, and I think that was really good.
Considering that we made $260 in the show. See, that's one of the things that we look at is we look at the whole show as a whole and stuff, and then we say, okay, how much do we have into the show?
That's
how much
part of my problem. Is that I did my show. my show I just did the other day, I made $44. I didn't pay anything. I paid for something for shipping because I did a giveaway. So
Right.
I mean, those are the numbers I'm working with on this site. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that I know I get out of it what I put into it, and I haven't been putting a lot into it. So I understand that, but it's been almost like I go through stretches where I'm very because this is when I just did an episode with Jen's Multiverse on my podcast, and
You
I was
did. We
complaining
watched it.
I was complaining about the shipping, and she talked about the custom thing. So that show I was telling you about that I did really well, I crushed it. I all the Blu-rays are all the same, and I put in when I saw that custom thing, I thought it was custom, and then they have all the stuff down that you pick from. Not I can customly make an ounce. So I just crushed it with my shipping, and it was fine. That part was fine, but it's the point where if I when I sent you a bunch of those cards, is because I did a show on a card show, and I tried to do flat rate. When I first started, I just did regular shipping,
Right.
and then eventually when I got comfortable, I started the flat rate shipping, and it worked fine for me. I felt like it was great. It did fine, and then I did a card show, and I did the max shipping at $8.77 because I hadn't done a show for a while, and I didn't know that the max shipping had jumped to $9.21.
Right.
But I sold 5 people cards. Ken SSK promo bought 1 card for me that I shipped out in a plain white envelope shipping, 73 cents. The other 4 people, including you, they bought no package was over 10 ounces. And every one of those people paid $8.77 for shipping, and then I paid the difference to $9.21. Like, that was crazy. That was crazy because when I did the how much does a car weigh? Well, when it's packaged up, it's 1 to 3 ounces. So like it defaults to 3 ounces, and then I have 4 people in my show buying cards for me. So you bought a ton of cards from me because I have no one bidding on my cards, and then you guys just bought cards. So every time it was 3 ounces, 3 ounces, 3 ounces. Everyone maxed it out, and then I'm paying the diff. It was stupid. So I took every one of those packages and I just shoved cards in there to make sure I was 64 ounces, just to make sure you got your money. I was so mad. Which it was my fault, I guess, but I never. And if you adjust it, they should be able to. Because if I use you get those 5 overages or whatever, they can adjust it.
Adjustments.
They can charge me after the fact. So before I print that label, they should be able to have the thing to, it's only 10 ounces. It only costs this much. And they should be able to refund you, or
that would be nice.
They should
refund the buyers,
but they're not doing. Like, I'm sorry. Like there's something that they're just not doing it, and it's crazy to me. That part's crazy to me.
Dan, you're gonna love our pro and cons.
Unfortunately, it does sort of force you into kind of underweighing items sometimes and using those adjustments, or that's the way what I've learned found to work around things.
My goal used to be I'm so sorry. I'm buddy.
No, you're perfectly fine, Dan. You know
that. My goal was never to use the adjustments. Now I'm like, I'm only doing 1 show this week, so let's see if I can use all 5, I guess. So I'll do. You guys want a giveaway? But this time I told you I just did a giveaway. I paid $5 for the giveaway because I felt guilty. But the week before I was so mad. I'm like, I just did a giveaway and I did it for 73 cents that I paid, and then I just did my adjustment to charge so I get charged $5 later. And I was like, I got adjustments. It seems stupid. But if you keep doing that, I feel like they're gonna take those away. So then I feel guilty. But I was mad the one time, so I'm sorry. And it's on record. Can you edit that part out? I'm sorry.
We can't,
no.
But we will say that the opinions of Dan do not reflect on the host and host.
Oh, you just said the underweight stuff.
I have seen that.
I have learned that part too. I have learned. But the other day I unbundled something because I was like, someone bought a bunch of Blu-rays from me, a blanket and a hat. When I put the hat in, I was like, I don't want this hat to get bent. I don't want it to get messed up. It fit in the box like perfect with the stuff. But I was scared the Blu-rays are gonna smash it. So like, I'll unbundle it and use one of my ship adjustments for it.
Might as well. That's what they're there for.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. those are
Sorry.
the question and answers that we had for Dan. And
You're
Dan, you
getting
did an
comments.
amazing
You
job
are
answering
amazing.
those. We love you so much, man.
God.
And he knows this too. I actually
I don't know. I'm
enjoyed it.
chaotic today, I think.
We're going to talk about the pros and cons of live reselling. So
Thought we already did
this
that.
is one of our favorite segments because we talk about some of the really good things about reselling, live reselling, and some of the bad things about live reselling. Because like I said before, we're not going to sugarcoat it and say that this is the end all, the beat all, this is going to make you millions and things like that.
Pro number one to me of live selling, and this is Dan in a nutshell.
No, this is
that when you're live selling, it allows you to share your personality and who you are with your buyers.
Woo-hoo.
And sometimes they're buying that Dan experience. They're
They
not
are.
just buying the car.
I did.
They're buying the Dan experience, and I think that is amazing.
I will let you know. I did not, I knew of Dan, but I did not know Dan, and I've never seen any of his live shows. And the first time I popped into one of his live shows, I tried my best to get him to say Jack's Treasures, woo woo. And he didn't do it. He did it for everybody else. Everybody else that came into that room, I mean, he was giving them that. I tipped him. I probably tipped him $150. I don't even know.
What? No, you're not. You're lying.
But it's that personality is part of the live selling where you literally become part of the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
You literally become part of the show. And Dan,
I'm telling you, too much.
we have Granny Danny.
Oh,
Okay.
Granny Danny.
Granny
that was
Danny.
awesome.
All right. Just an amazing thing. And Dan is somebody that literally everybody that was running Ray trains on whatnot was like, we need to get Dan in the show because no matter what, Dan has the number one personality. I heard Jen say it. I've heard Ray say it.
Crazy.
I've heard everybody saying that Dan has the best personality for live selling.
Okay. That's what keeps you going. You guys do that. You tell me that, and then it's like, all right, I'll keep trying. I'll keep doing it. I'm saying all this stuff, and I don't think I've hated on it too bad. I do like it. I enjoy doing it. It's just when you're trying to make money and you're not making money at it, which is my fault too. Whenever I sell, and I put it. That's what I started off with. Like I'm happy about it. The most I get frustrated was when I try to do like a giveaway, or and no one wants to get in my giveaways. That just irritates me. I'm like, I don't know.
I do know that.
I don't know what I'm supposed to
my
give
mom
away.
appreciates her giveaway that she won from you, by the way.
I appreciate the one that I won from you too.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm like, please, I have 15 people in here and there's one person in the giveaway. Just get in the giveaway.
I think sometimes, when I go on a show, it's like, I don't want to get in the giveaway if I don't think I'm going to buy something. It's like, I'd rather that go to somebody that might be a buyer. They get the benefit of the lowered shipping, things like that.
Yeah.
So sometimes I will decline to enter because I feel like it's going to benefit someone else a lot more than it is me.
I understand that.
Right.
I understand that.
Now, the con of live selling is some people do not have a personality for live selling. They're straight up boring. Their shows are boring. And that was the other thing. One of the big pros about it is you're selling yourself, and you then become that car salesman, if you will, the atypical car salesman. Like, what can I do to get you into this car today? And that's part of the selling. But a lot of people, they don't have that personality. It's like, okay, I'm going to hold up this waffle maker. This is a waffle maker, and we're going to run it, and it's $3.
Oh, this is cool.
And they don't have that personality to resell. And you really do have to have a personality to be able to get people to come into the show. Otherwise, you're only selling the product, and then you've got to really have great product. If your show is just boring.
You can get away with a lot lesser stuff if you have the personality.
That's right.
That's what it comes down to.
And I know Dan will sit there and say that he doesn't sell anything. Okay. And we got a story to tell you on that one towards the end of the podcast with me and Tracy and I, because we've had shows where we've made $25, $35, $65. And, you know, not every one of the shows is going to be that banger show or that big Blu-ray show. That's an amazing show for you right there. That you killed mine. I mean, my Blu-ray show, I think we made like $44 and stuff. So it's just one of those things where
I was scared because I'm sorry. I look in all the categories, and I Blu-rays were the first thing I found abundance of that I enjoyed selling on and whatnot. Was like one
Yeah.
of the first things. But then, like where I bought them from, they didn't have them. It stopped, so I couldn't do any more shows, and I didn't pay
Right,
attention.
right.
But I always I'll look at the categories and see what's going on in those. And when I bought those I like, oh yeah, I'll take the Blu-rays. It'll be great. And when I was looking, I was like, no one's in the Blu-ray category anymore. There's no one here. And then I started the show, and I scheduled it, and then within an hour, I had like 15, 16 bookmarks. I was like, "Are you serious?"
That
Like
is
right now, I've
awesome.
had a
That's
schedule.
awesome.
I did a show. Today's Thursday. I did a show. I scheduled it on Monday, and I have like 3 bookmarks for since I guess because it's not the day of. Maybe that's. But I was shocked at that, and I had 15, 20 people in my show the entire time. It was crazy. I was like, "Oh, this is great." So anyway, sorry.
Well, another pro of selling on live selling, something we talked about before, and I consider it a pro, is that I feel like the shipping is easier on live selling than it is on eBay or one of the other static sites. Now, that's one of your mileage may vary thing, and it did take us a while to catch on to all
It
the
did.
nuances, but now I can ship probably 50 packages on Whatnot for what it would take me to ship 10 on eBay. It's just it's a process.
Yeah, it's how you set it up. Now, the con of shipping is that it's difficult to figure it out on Whatnot and on District. It's just something that takes a lot of time to get those nuances to figure out where is my tolerance level. My tolerance level of what I don't consider taking a loss on shipping when I have $1,000 show and we pay $25 out of our pocket for the shipping. That's not a loss for me. That's just money I'm leaving on the table to maybe entice people to come into that show. But there are definitely disadvantages when you do mess up on the shipping. You're out of adjustments. We've had that problem where the boxes are just a little bit too big because as Dan and I were talking about earlier, before I think we even started the show, we had a huge video game show that had video game boxes that were really, really big. And that's one of the things that's difficult because once you start adjusting on those prices on the boxes, the price of that shipping goes through the roof.
I'll tell you, we actually, on that one, we went in and we used our free adjustments for the ones that were going to be a big difference. And then I wound up paying for 2 out of pocket, one $2 and one less than $1. And that was just
because we knew the location that they were
going.
They were going to, like, one of them was going down to Florida, and we know that that's a cheaper one. And one of them was just even going into Georgia, and we're in Georgia. So, but those are just some of the things that you learn as you're going. It's not one of those processes that you pick up very easily. I even heard Corey say that was one of the biggest fears that he felt people had when they do live selling is the shipping aspect of it. So it's a positive because it is easy. District's got it very easy too.
Yep.
The problem that we have with it is that going through Whatnot, we can get through it really super fast.
Yeah.
And on District, we had to do one at a time and weigh each one of the boxes one at a time. And so that took a little bit more time away from us to do other things.
All right. Now,
what about your experiences with shipping?
I think I ranted about shipping a ton, right?
Yeah, you did. You did. I was just bringing that up. All right, it's time to shine, guys. We got a couple of people that we're going to talk with. Dan, I'm positive, knows at least 2 of them. He may know 3. But what we do is we showcase 3 sellers on live selling platforms. We are heavy on Whatnot because of that's the biggest one that we are, but we are trying to diversify and get some other people on there.
Well, number 1, this is our newer seller, which he's not really a newer seller, but he's just kind of started putting a little more oomph into his Whatnot. And that would be Chris, the Cajun reseller. He has 1.3 thousand followers and he's sold 750 items. And he specializes in plush and toys, but you'll find him selling a little bit of everything.
Yeah, he's known as the Plush King. I'm sure, Dan, you do know Chris.
I know Chris, yes.
Have you ever met him in live?
Not in person. Just I don't even. Chris was hard to get. It was a big deal if he would go live some places. You could never get him to go live. So I was shocked when I think he started selling on Whatnot when I took a hiatus. and I was shocked that he's. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I've caught a show of his because I go through spurts. I go through spurts where I want to I go through and I'll bookmark people's shows, and then a lot of times sometimes everyone does a show I probably do a show at the wrong times for them too, but it's like I'm doing something right now. I can't watch a show, and every time you do it, when I've seen him recently. He's like, I rescheduled my show. I'm surprised, to be honest, that Chris started selling on there, but it sounds like he's doing pretty good.
He struggled with his internet connection, and I think that was part of the reason he doesn't necessarily like to go live.
And he also struggles with what he wants to bring.
Yeah,
because he doesn't have the profit margins on whatnot that he has on static selling sites like eBay. So Chris is amazing. He was our guest last week on this the podcast. So
really,
it was really good.
Yep.
Okay, the one that came out on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, it was supposed to come out on Sunday, but that was the one that I messed out. So we launched it on Monday.
That's why. Okay, I was like, I didn't see. That's your problem. You gotta get it out on time.
You are 100% correct, Dan. But when I left my computer at home on the way to Nashville,
I thought you took the week off.
Nope. It just released a little late.
Nope.
Okay.
We've been very diligent, and I will say,
that's not bad.
The first time I was with Dan says this to me, and I quote. He goes, I was on YouTube for about a month, and I already had over 1,000 subscribers. I did not say that. He most certainly did. And he said, this is exactly what he said. And it was easy.
No,
we've been on for 5 years, and
we scratch and claw for every single subscriber we get.
That's not true. I did not say that. It took me longer than a month to get 1,000 subscribers.
I don't know if it was a month, but he said it was easy.
If you're consistent, it should be easy to get 1,000 subscribers.
$6.99.
We are at $6.99, so we're one away.
You just started being consistent, right?
We did.
What's that?
We just put consistency in.
Yeah, we just probably hit 500 fairly early.
I have 2,500, I think, and
that is awesome.
There he goes again.
But
go ahead, say it, Dan. It was easy.
No, it wasn't. I was saying that I'm trying to think when I hit 1,000 because I got a shout out to get to it. That was you always shout outs seem different now. Like it used to. I got a shout out from Harry Tornado. And I went from
that's a big one.
That would do it.
I just celebrated 500 subscribers, and I got a shout out from Josh Harry Tornado, and within a day I got 1,500. I had 1,500. It was awesome. A few days, and that was when I lost my job. I watched Josh's videos like religion before when I was working and then when I got laid off. My video landed in his algorithm, so he reached out to me. He's like, I'm gonna give you a shout out on my video today, and if you don't mind, I'm okay. Yeah, I'll take that. I gained those many people, so that was in 2021. So it's been since then I've got 1,000. I gained 1,000 more. But I'm saying because I'm not consistent anymore. I'm not consistent at all. I have a video on my channel where I'm supposed to do a giveaway when I hit 3,000 subscribers that I made probably 4 years ago. There's a hat that someone. Do you guys know the Nurse Flipper? Kat, the Nurse Flipper?
Yes.
I won a hat from her that's signed by that she got from Kevin the Commonwealth Picker. It's a Titleist hat. If you know Kevin, he wears Titleist hats.
Yeah.
He got it from her. Who got it from I think Matt the part-time picker. If you know him. He signed it too. He signed it, and Kat signed it. And Kevin might have signed it. I don't remember, but I won it, and I was like, and Kat had given it away for her 3,000 subscribers. I'm gonna give it away when I hit it, and I might have had 1,000. Maybe I had 1,000. I don't know, but anyway, it's 5 years later, and I still have that.
We need to get you to 3,000 so you can give that away because I want to win that.
I'm going to be giving out a ton of shout outs to Danindemand on all of our platforms. Our growing seller is named Ruth Ann. She is 4 Seasons Picker. She has 3.1 thousand followers, and she has sold over 6,000 items. We met her at the Nashville meetup. She was amazing. She's basically in the vintage category and Disney. And a great story about her is we were doing a Whatnot show where we were selling Playboy magazines, back issues of Playboy magazines, which, by the way, just letting you know, is super ass embarrassing to begin with, especially if you're a man trying to show these magazines. And she raided into us with a Disney show. So you want to talk about one of the most awkward things ever? It happened on,
He's holding
on that
up the
show.
pictures.
Well, you can't see anything because you can't show any,
no boobs,
no boobies on that one right there. So it was just very, very embarrassing. But do you know Four Seasons Picker?
No, I was just gonna say, what was her name again? No, I don't. That's
her name is Ruth Ann. And it's
Four Seasons Picker with the
and
number
it's
4.
the number 4. The number 4. And then our established seller. I'm pretty sure you do know this gentleman there, Dan.
We are going to go off of Whatnot, and we are going to talk about probably the biggest seller, or one of the biggest sellers over on the District platform, and that would be Kevin, the Commonwealth Picker, whose name's already been dropped in this chat. He is part owner of all of the Dibdit platforms, Shopcommons, and I don't know what else. He owns everything. Rumor has it he may own District. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he owns Jack's Treasures. I'm not exactly 100% sure on that one yet. I do know that I send him a check for something. No, I'm just teasing.
We also did have the honor of meeting him this past weekend. He's a super
He's
nice
awesome,
guy.
right? Oh, Kevin.
Yeah, he was very cordial with his time. When we talked because Kevin and I, and this is something I did not know. I knew that Kevin was a history teacher and I was a history teacher, but Kevin started teaching at the same time I did. We literally both started on the same year. He lasted for 21 years. I lasted for 18. And a lot of the same, when we were talking, I was talking to him, and the biggest question I wanted to ask him is, what was the final straw that got you to quit teaching? And his was very similar to mine. It was very similar to mine. It was different, but it was very, very similar to mine. So, and we're going to have links down to all of our shout outs to the spotlight. We'll have their links down there below. I'm sure everybody's already following Kevin, the Commonwealth Picker.
But in case some of my family members are watching this and you haven't, follow him.
And he did sell on Whatnot for a while, but now he's on District because he basically owns the platform, maybe the whole thing. I don't know. He might.
I think he had a show today. I think he is.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I have notifications from him all the time.
I will say we have sold on Shopcommons before, so we are very well.
Actually, sold something on there today, not live, but through the static site.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So those are our 3 spots, and I don't even need to ask, but Dan, do you know Kevin, the Commonwealth Picker?
I do, and I met Kevin in person. I went to the Highway 127 sale last year.
Right. I remember that.
I was so excited because I don't know how long I've been watching Kevin. Kevin was one of the first YouTube channels I found. I started off with Cincinnati Picker, which led me through these people.
John.
That got me to Kevin, and then Kevin's always been super, super nice, super great. Always been just awesome. He's been awesome. So I had the opportunity to go down there and meet him, and we stayed in a bunch of guys. There's Lady Arbitrage was there too. We stayed at what do you call those, Airbnb?
Bless her heart.
Dawn's awesome. Everyone was awesome. I had a great time. It was awesome. I don't know what to say.
Anyway, that was our spotlight on Kevin, the Commonwealth Picker. We are going to talk about
our established seller.
Yes. We're going to talk about what's new, and once again this week, this is Whatnot because I know a lot more about what's happening on Whatnot. They have the Whatnot Con coming up from May 15th through the 17th, and it is the world's largest online-only Comic-Con. And so if you're into comics and comic-related things, it's a great time to come get some bargains. Whatnot is doing giveaways. They're promoting their comic sellers, and it's just going to be a big, huge thing that weekend.
And talking about comics, we have a little story for Dan because Dan talks about some of his card shows. Now, this is when Jack's Treasures could definitely have a show and have 30 people in the show.
Yeah. If we're selling garage sale stuff or video games.
Yeah, exactly. I had 3 comic book shows. Okay. And the first comic book show I sold one item.
Ugh.
No, I'm sorry, no items.
No
The
items.
entire hour sold.
You stayed on an hour?
Yes. The max
Ugh.
number of people I had in the room was 8. And that was at the first 5 minutes.
And there was a giveaway running, I believe.
After that, I had 2, and that was it. Second show that I had, because I'm gonna keep dragging this thing out and keep going. I sold 1. That was it.
Was that
to
the one
Josiah.
you sold? I was gonna say to Taco Joe.
To Taco Joe Josiah. I know you know Josiah, right?
Yeah.
So again, whole show, maybe at max I had 5 people in the show. All right. Third show, I sold 2 items. That was it the entire time. There are just some categories you cannot break into. And literally
without help.
In between those shows, I would have a video game show and would sell out. I had a tool show and would sell out. And then I would have a comic book show and sell 1 item or 0 items. It's just some of the categories are super, super hard to break into, because a lot of those categories, they don't have ray trains. They don't have those support for that, because comic books is one of the things that I have noticed that they want to keep their buyers.
The big sellers will stream 24 hours a day. They have employees coming on. It's insane. And
I think cards is the same thing.
So
because I do know that Carrie does sell still on Whatnot. Yeah, he was our spotlight last week or the week before.
1 week in there.
Yeah, one of the weeks in there, we spotlighted Carrie American Arbitrage. And he still does sell on Whatnot, and he does sell still on Dibdit cards. And I was in his Dibdit card shows, and I was watching, and his cards are going for $1, $2, $3. You know, so it's just one of those things that it's very, very hard to break into those.
The other thing that's go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, when I was trying to do cards, I don't know if it would work. I don't know anything about comics at all. But when I did cards, I stole a thing that I listened to. So I go into shows and I just listen to the sellers if they're saying something. I've tried my best. Like I have tried. That's why I get frustrated because I want to try, but I listen to stuff, and I stole something from Jen's Multiverses. She used to go on, well, she still does, but she used to go on super early, like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. So when I was doing cards, I was looking at I wrote down, I would look every hour and see how many people are on for cards. And then for a while, I would wake up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and do card shows at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I did okay. I don't know if that would work for comics. I have no idea about comics that are there.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't have enough, I didn't have enough inventory to keep up with that. And then now I get a lot more support with my cards on Dibdit cards to just do it over there than it is, because a lot of the people that came, I talk about this too, is that a lot of my followers want, like what you guys are talking about, they want that woohoo Danindemand experience, and selling cards, it's not, you don't do that. Like, it's just doesn't, it's, maybe you do.
Well, that's because you're not in front of the camera either.
Well, that's what I talked about with, I did a podcast, a guest,
Chris.
the world Chris on. And
we
were talking about that.
And he was loved that.
Maybe
I did too.
But I don't know if my antics or whatever it is that I do would be if someone that's
Dan, those aren't your antics; those are your personality.
But I don't know if someone wants to listen to that when they're trying to buy cards. Is it? I guess what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'm missing. Maybe that's what I should try. But so over there when I did the cards, I get I get so much, like when you talk about when I first started on there, they would run me, like Carrie would run me on his YouTube channel. Like he'll pop up and he'll run your show on his YouTube. So then I'm getting people going to his YouTube, then they're coming over to my show. I'm having 70 people on my show. Like, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen for me on Whatnot. You guys have been very supportive. Jen's Multiverse, Paul, tons of support on Whatnot, but it's just my niche on Whatnot is not the support I get it's not what I'm selling right now.
It's not translating into sales.
What I'm selling, yeah. And I wish, I don't know, like, as much as people, I don't know. Like, I've tried plus shows, and I always think I set up a show and I'm like, this is the one, I'm gonna kill it. And then it's just like, I'm still all these plushes, I'm stuck with
Man, we all have though.
We do.
Everybody has.
I mean, I'm not saying it to like, because I keep trying, because I see the value in live selling. I really do. I just haven't figured it out. Like I haven't figured it out, but I keep trying because I feel like there's value there. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm constantly stuck with stuff that, like, I want to move it fast. I don't want it here. I feel like it's good stuff, but like the whatnot world is telling, or the live selling world's telling me it's not good stuff. And then like, well, what am I supposed to do with it? Am I supposed to just donate it, or?
Well, I will tell you another thing that is new that's happening right now is actually something that benefits the smaller sellers. Is Whatnot. Obviously, everybody knows about Whatnot literally banning Nicole State from the platform because of her antics. Well, they're banning more people that are considered the largest sellers on the platform that have like thousands of people in their shows. They kicked off more of them because of their antics, which what that means is it creates a void.
Yes,
and smaller sellers are starting to fill into that void. So we want to applaud Whatnot for doing that.
Don't give up.
Definitely. Everybody knows about them. If they watch any kind of YouTube content, they know that there's some of these people are out here that are bad sellers. Let's face it. There's bad sellers on eBay. There's bad sellers on District. There's bad sellers on Posh. There's all of them. eBay, no matter what. There are bad sellers on there. But it took them a long time to finally say, God, we got to get rid of some of these people. And now they're actually starting to do that, which is something that is a benefit to a lot of us right now, because we sit there and we'll go to meetups and people, oh, you're on that platform. I heard that they have the biggest scammers and the most scammers on there. And so we applaud them for that.
All right. Well, we have reached basically the end of our podcast. We have one segment left, and we call this Turn the Table.
Yep.
This is where we allow our guests to ask us a question about anything they want to, live selling, regular selling, or just personal questions.
Yep. So, Dan,
you have the floor.
Yours.
Oh, I finally get to talk? I've cut you guys off the whole time. You guys told me I was going to have to ask this question at the beginning. I could. Oh, what, is it just me? Wait, am I on by myself? You're still there?
We're here.
We're here.
I have no idea. Did you do that on purpose?
I did.
I'll ask you real fast. Like, so I saw. So you guys do eBay and you do live selling and whatnot. And I saw you do a District show, live show. Have you done one since? And you plan on doing another one?
We have done 2 District shows so far. One on Shopcommons and one on the dollar auction.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were okay. We did not.
The first one that we did was on Shopcommons, and we got exactly what we expected out of that show, because, as you know, Shopcommons is one that's for resellers. So it's you're buying lots of different items. So you have to leave meat on the bone for the resellers to be able to buy this and them want to do that. So we did great on that show. We sold everything except for like maybe one item, which is exactly what we were expecting. And then we were on the dollar auction, and on the dollar auction, we used it as a learning experience to learn the platform. So Corey and Teresa and Steve and Donna over at Happy Hearts and Alicia the Ink Picker, they all wanted to help us, and they wanted to co-host. They wanted to do that. And I told them, no, I did not want that. I want to experience the platform so that we can figure out the logistics of it. That's how we learned about the shipping on it, because we knew the shipping on Shopcommons was going to be different because everything was different. Right. But are we planning on doing it? Yes. We are. Okay. And we are planning on doing it on Dibdit. Mm-hmm. We've also thought about doing it on Dibdit cards, and we've thought about doing it on the Crooked Spine, because we have so many books, and we're doing it as more or less so that when we speak about the District and those sites in particular, that we're speaking from experience.
Oh, something you're going to do.
Another thing I like to say, that as a reseller, you never want to put all of your eggs in one basket. Yeah, I would like to, kind of dip my toe in there. You never know. I mean, What if Amazon bought whatnot, and then all of a sudden they put in all these rules and stuff, and we weren't able to run our shows the way we wanted to? It would be nice to at least be somewhat established on another platform to be able to continue running business the way we do.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we won't ever put more of an effort into District. I'm intrigued by it.
We are.
Right now, there are some things that I don't necessarily like as much about it. Running the shows was clunky. I was not able to run at the speed that we normally run on whatnot, and that kind of threw off our mojo.
Yeah.
And
also, we want to build an audience there. And I know that one of the biggest benefits of being on there is the co-hosting, and the co-hosting helps out by bringing those followers, their followers, into that show. I think that's a great idea, but it doesn't create the followers that you might necessarily be looking for, because, I'm going to get, let's say that I co-host and I'm co-hosting with Carrie, who I like Carrie, but I don't have cards. And I don't have a lot of cards. When they were at the meetup, people were asking me, they were saying, you should come over. And I said, it's not that we're not coming over. It's that right now we're riding a wave on whatnot that is really, really high. And I said, I don't want to go over to Dibdit and start or District and start at a bottom to go back up again. And they were like, bring the stuff that doesn't sell on whatnot. And I said, well, that's definitely not going to happen, because if it doesn't sell on whatnot, I'm not going to bring it to another site just so that I can be known as I'm bringing crap to District. Yeah. And District doesn't want that. Right. If I had a District site, I don't want Danindemand to bring in all of this garbage that he got from a storage unit that he bought that he couldn't sell on anything, and then trying to sell it on my site for $1 or whatever.
If and when, which I'll say when, we do run a Dibdit show, it is going to be just like a good whatnot show is for us.
Yes.
I'm going to bring quality items and at a good price, and we're just going to let it ride and see what happens.
Yeah. Because to me, as you said it earlier, you get out of it what you put into it.
Right.
And, when they were saying that to me, I was like, that's not what I want. I want good stuff, good prices. I mean, even if I lose money, I don't care about that, because you got to build up. You have to build everything up in live selling. Dan, I want to thank you so much for coming in and agreeing to be a part of this show. Dan is an amazing individual. If you ever get a chance, I know that you wanted to come to Nashville this year, and so many people wanted you to come to Nashville, but by you sending your card, it was the absolute best. When I saw that in the package, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I got to meet Dan when we drove up to Omaha. We went via Indiana, and we got to spend some time together. I think Dan and I spent about 2 hours looking through shoes, and Dan educating me on shoes, because I would pick them up and he'd go, no, Brian, no. And I would pick this one up. I said, what about this, Dan? No, you don't want to clean it. You're only going to get like $6 for it or something like that. And that was probably one of the best experiences. So thank you, Dan.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure everybody is following Dan. There'll be links down below to all of his things, including his District site. We're going to link that down below. His Whatnot channel. Give him a follow on Whatnot. You're gonna like his personality. It is absolutely great. He is one of the. I will just let you know this. We were in a graphic T-shirt battle. We were on the same team. We were on Jen's Multiverse team. And the first person that Jen picked was Danindemand. Okay, was Danindemand.
Brian's always hyping me up.
And Dan says that now that I'm one of the biggest hypers that's on the thing. I think that's why he comes into more shows. I'm not 100% sure. But next week we will have a very special guest. His name is Jeremy from Green 13.
Nobody knows him on YouTube yet.
Yeah, he doesn't have a thing. He is developing a channel on YouTube. And one thing about that is his is also going to be talking and focusing on live selling only on Whatnot. Okay. So give us a follow. If you like us, please give us that big thumbs up. We would appreciate it. Many comments down there below. Dan, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you so much. Okay. Peace out, Jack's Treasure.